You might have been thinking, what's this topic about? What you eat decides who and how you are. Welcome to the 42nd Zest Leaders Club session, and we have been speaking about different things for the past 42 weeks. We have spoken about the mind, the brain, how we need to visualize, how we need to manage our time, and how we need to be a leader and not a manager or a boss. All these we have spoken about. But then for all these to actually happen, we have to live an energetic and healthy life. We need to have healthy eating habits. That's the base. And that's for sure something that's needed and essential for all of us. How many of you would have heard about a statement which says, breakfast is the most important meal of the day? How many of you have heard that? Many of us have heard that, and many of us have actually told this to other people as well. 2 months ago, I was talking to my brother who lives in Melbourne. We were both on a call and he was telling me, hey, you can think of getting to do an intermittent fasting. And I was on this side and I was asking him, what do you mean by intermittent fasting? And then he goes on to say, that's like you delay the time that you're eating your next meal. For example, if you have your dinner in the night, say around 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, the next day morning, early in the morning, don't go and have your breakfast. Have your breakfast at a later point in time. Push it as much as possible. The same week itself, my wife called me and told me as well about intermittent fasting. I was actually arguing with my brother and telling him that, no, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. We cannot cut the breakfast and we cannot skip breakfast. My brother told me that that's not really the truth. It's actually a marketing gimmick. I researched, I googled it, I found out the truth. This whole sentence, breakfast is the most important meal of the day, was actually coined by James Jackson and John Kellogg for the newly developed or invented innovative product, which is cereals. So they wanted to market it, and the best way to market it is to have a tag associated with it. When people saw that the breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and if they have to do justice to their kids, to their family members, they need to serve something as a food for them. And in the morning, due to all the rush, parents don't have time to give or cook really awesome, well-spread breakfast. So what they do is they pick up the cereal box. There's another statement which also goes by like this. For the breakfast, eat like a king. For lunch, eat like a prince. And for dinner, eat like a beggar or a pauper. That's another quote that goes on. I researched on that as well, but I couldn't find evidences. But I feel that also was created because if somebody has to eat like a king in the morning, then you cannot cook so much in the early morning before people leave for work. So the families cannot do that. So at that point in time, the best alternative is to give a bowl full of cereals. And that bowl will be heaped up and you buy more of it. And so that in turn creates business for them. One point I would agree that you eat less in the night because logically it means that you need to eat less. It's not necessary or essential to have breakfast until otherwise your doctor advises you to have breakfast every day and at a particular time. You might ask, when should I eat? And the $1 million or $1 billion or $1 trillion answer for that question is, when you feel hungry is when you eat. Don't just eat just because it's time. Now, like in school, we have learned that there is a bell which rings and then the lunch time and we have to go and eat. And there is a break time where we have snacks. So all these happens during school time. But now we are in control of our own timing and our diets. So you don't have to go and eat every time it's 12:30 or 1 o'clock in your watch. Just because everybody in your office is going for lunch does not mean that you as well need to go. If you are not feeling hungry, don't eat. Wait for a time period when you're feeling hungry and then go and eat. At the same time, remember the other fact as well, the negative side of it as well. Don't be hungry for a long time. Because when you are hungry for a long time, two things happen. One is the acid which is in your stomach starts eating up on your stomach lining. So don't keep your stomach empty for a very long period. The second point that I would like to say for that is, when you really are feeling hungry and you don't go and eat, you go and crave for all the unnecessary junk food. And that's not good for you. If you're a person who eats a lot, one of the tricks that you can apply is, don't go for a big plate of food. Take a smaller plate so that you will eat lesser food. This is a trick that they use in most buffets in hotels, where they give you a smaller plate, and when you load up your plate, it feels like it's really full, and then you tend to eat less because your brain gets full. The same way, if you would like to eat less at home or in office, have a plate which is smaller in size so that you eat lesser quantity, and that will really help you. But when you're feeling hungry after eating some food, and then maybe around 2 hours or 3 hours later you're feeling hungry, maybe grab a snack, grab a healthy snack, have a fruit, have some nuts, have some walnuts, almonds, whatever stuff that you can have which will help you, go and have that. Food and beverage is almost around $448 billion industry, and pharma industry or a pharmaceutical industry is as well somewhere around that. Why am I telling you about food and beverage industry? They all work towards subconscious programming into your mind. All the advertisements that you see in media, on your TV, the advertisement that you see on Facebook, and there are so much and so many advertisements that you see when you go to a shopping mall. And all these are about food and as well as about pharma. They subconsciously program you to buy more, eat unhealthy food more. And when you eat more unhealthy food, what happens to you? You get to go to a doctor or get to take medicines more. So both industries make a lot of money out of you. Has one company at least gone ahead and advertised for good bananas, which is very healthy, good mangoes that's very healthy? No, they don't. But what they advertise is mango juice, a processed juice, which is very healthy, or they might say does not contain preservatives. But when you read below the lines or the ingredients, you'll get to know what it contains. How can it stay long on the shelves if it doesn't contain preservatives? Simple question that you can ask. If you cut a mango and keep it in a bottle, will it stay for maybe 10 days, 15 days? Surely not. But how can that bottle of drink, which says they don't have any preservatives, stay that long? So something is there. We are all addicted to all the processed foods and all the junk foods that is there. It's quite difficult to come out of all this Coke and Pepsi and all these beverages that is there. You should remember that a can of Coke has around 9 teaspoonful of sugar in it. Many times after having a biryani, we feel that we need to have a Sprite or a Coke. Will you ever think that after finishing the biryani that you will take 9 teaspoons of sugar and put it in your mouth? Will you ever think of that? But at the same time, we think to get Sprite or Coke or Pepsi and then drink it after every good meal that we have outside. Why is that? That's an addiction. That's because we are inclined to that sugar rush. How do we overcome that? I was an addict to coffee. From my small age itself, I was given coffee by my parents, so I started drinking coffee. But as I grew older, I became more addicted to coffee, and without coffee, I cannot survive in the morning. And that was me. If I go to office, I need coffee. And by 11 o'clock, I need a coffee. By evening, 3 o'clock, I need another coffee. 2 to 3 coffees per day was my average intake. And I could not cut it down. I could not stop having that coffee at all. I tried various things, switching to tea and all that, but it still did not work. One day, maybe around 1.5, 2 years back. I was just sitting down and randomly watching Tony Robbins, one of his videos, and there he was explaining about how coffee is acidic and how it impacts your body. He just explained that for possibly in that video for 45 seconds. That's it, nothing more. But then that particular thought process hit my mind, and then I decided that I'm not going to take coffee. The feeling was always there, but then because I knew that the negative effect of coffee was there, I decided that I would not do it. From then onwards, I switched to tea, green tea and things like that, and started having it. And till today, in the last 1.5 years, if I calculate the total number of coffees that I have had, I had 24 coffees in total. I'm talking about 1.5 years. At the same time, in the last same 1.5 years, if I was a normal coffee person, like how I used to be, bare minimum I would have had 1,140 coffees. 143 coffees to be exact. I just made that calculation. So where is 24 and where is 1,143? The point is, you can get out of any of the addictions. How do you do that? You associate your brain to that negative effect of what you're doing. If coffee is bad for you and you associate that negative effect, and every time you drink coffee or every time you think of coffee, that negativity is coming to your brain and it's getting associated, automatically you will stop it. Food and beverage industry, once again, when I go back to it, and the pharma industry as well, they promote to make you to eat unhealthy food. How many advertisements are there for coffee? How many varieties of coffee products are there? How many varieties of Coke and Pepsi and Sprites are there? How many varieties of different processed foods are there in the shopping aisle? It's all there to attract you, and they give you discounts after discounts so that you will go buy it. And one time you buy it, you like it and you would like to have more of it. So anytime you go to a shopping mall and you're picking up something which is nice, it looks very nice, look at the ingredients, please. And that should decide if you need to have it or you should not have it. The media keeps saying that this food is good, that food is bad, and all sorts of things. There are many people who are paid to say some things like that. They said coconut oil is bad. Now they're coming back and saying coconut oil is good. They said green tea is one of the best things. But now there are people who are saying that the black tea or the normal tea has the same benefits as green tea. So green tea is not exotic or whatever. Egg is not good is what they said in between. Milk is not good in between is what they said. And people keep changing their stance. What you and me we need to do is research and take the right decision. See what is good for your body. Because of all the food that you eat, the more medicines you consume, the more you reduce your immunity. Because if you are, say, having a headache because you did not drink sufficient water, you run into a headache, you don't identify what the root cause is, but many of us go and pick up the first tablet, Saridon or whatever that you get. For me, by God's grace, I have not had one tablet for a headache till date. I've had headaches. It does not mean that I have not had headaches. But then I have not taken one tablet even. It helps to build the immunity, and the more you tend to pick up medicines from your medicine chest, the more you are impacting your body. So try to live healthy without so many of those medicines. Learned a lot of things from my wife, which helped me to change my eating pattern and food pattern to become a better, healthier person compared to what I was when I was growing up. There are things like eating more fruits which help me. Things like replacing the white bread or the processed white bread with good, healthy wheat breads or multigrain breads. And that's something that has helped me as well. Replacing all these white foods or processed foods with healthier versions will help you as well. Avoiding sugars, wherever you can avoid sugar, try to avoid that, specifically white sugars. That does not mean that you can have as much brown sugar that you can or jaggery that is there. Everything has to have a limit or in control, but at the same time, white sugar is dangerous for you because it immediately is consumed internally by your body. Your body does not burn the fat to get the energy. The other thing that I would mention is your salt intake. The more salt you take in, the more you retain water and the more your body becomes inflamed. So you have to be controlled on your salt intake as well. Coffee, which I mentioned already before. The thing that I would say or suggest is don't eat just because it's time to eat. It makes sense, or if everybody is eating at the same time, it makes sense because cleaning everything becomes easier. But the point is, if you are eating when you're hungry, you're at least trying to burn your body fat till then. And that helps you when you're looking for diets. And speaking about diets, don't go for all these fad diets which are available on the internet. See which diet will suit you and your mind, because you have to continue the diet for a long time. And if you need to continue a diet for a long time, you need to like the diet. So choose a diet which is good and which you will be able to continue for a long time, and pick that up and have that. Each person has a different gut bacteria composition in his body. There are 10 to the power, I think 8 or something like that of gut bacteria that you have from your throat till your final exit area. What does those bacteria do? It processes the food in different ways. For each human being, it's different. So it depends as to what diet will suit you and your body is what you need to eat. Just because somebody advertises this diet will work does not mean that it will work for everyone across all countries. Be careful as to which diet you choose. Last but not the least, your choices. It's your life and your choice. Whatever you eat, you can always eat. But then if you would like to have your energy, if you'd like to have that drive, that feeling that I'll be able to achieve things, or many of the things that you dream of, you need to have good health. And that good health can only come if you have the right choices with respect to your food, your exercise, and the knowledge that you possess. So all three are equally important. Food is the basic need for you to come up at least to a stable state of affairs. And then comes your exercise to make it processed well. And last but not the least, getting your knowledge and doing the best that you can. Choose wisely and eat wisely and eat healthy, and you will live longer and better is what I would say. Thank you so much for joining.